landscape designer. I'm Charlene Gray. Welcome to Landscape Elevation, where I talk about all things landscape design, geared toward those of you who are landscape design entrepreneurs, whether you're just getting started in your side hustle or you've been in business for years. I hope the things I talk about here resonate with you and help you on your journey as a landscape designer. Today's video is sort of a bonus video to a recent series of 4 videos that I did on using Vectorworks Landmark software. In the previous 4 videos, I talked about using Vectorworks to create a base map, importing hand-drawn concepts into Vectorworks, tracing your hand-drawn concepts in Vectorworks, and then placing 3D hardscape and plants in Vectorworks. So also, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from those 4 videos, so which makes me think there are actually people out there using this software who are landscape designers. And because of this, I've created a new download for you guys. It's a Vectorworks keyboard shortcut cheat sheet. It's a PDF that you can download and use as a digital guide on your screen. Or if you're a dinosaur like me, you can print it out on 8.5 by 11 to keep on your desk. A link to this is in the description. I hope it helps. Okay, back to today. As promised, I'm going to show you how to use the massing model tool in Vectorworks. So the massing model tool is so helpful for allowing your clients to, see your plan better, because it shows how your landscape features, the plants and the hardscapes, stack up against the size and the mass of buildings that are also on the property. So in today's video demonstration, you'll see how having the shell of buildings massed out also helps you as the designer to see where you may need to adjust your planting sizes or arrangements based on the walls and doors of the building, and that you either need to screen or showcase or otherwise need attention. So I'll just note now that using a massing model is meant to take the place of having an actual building rendering from a building architect. It's not really meant to duplicate a building architect's rendering or master plan for a building structure. There are tools within the program for you to use to deck out the building as much as you want to spend the time doing that. But for most clients' visual purposes, just having the building height and the doors and even the windows, if you have time, are enough to get the visual point across and to help your landscape, kind of have a background. So, all right, here I am demonstrating using the massing model tool in Vectorworks. All right, so here I am with the 2D top plan of the Vectorworks file that I completed in the previous 4 videos. So just to give you a refresher, here was the 3D flyover, what that looked like. And so I placed all of these plants and this walkway hardscape, but you can see the footprint of the house is still just a 2D ground layer image. So let's do, I'll show you how I do the massing model using the footprint of the building. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a new class, and I'm going to call that the building mass, just so that it's in its own class and I can manipulate it, by its visibility based on how I need to. So I'm going to accept all of these defaults, and over here in my navigation palette, make the building mass the active class, and then change my class options to show snap others so that I don't mess up anything that I've done while I'm building my building model. So, or my massing model. All right, so over in the tool set palette, I'm going to click on this second one over, the site planning tool, and that's where the massing model tool is. You can also see there's a wall here, and if I go over to one more over to the building shell toolkit, this is where you could actually build your own building. There's walls, the slab, doors, windows, columns, stairs, ramps, cabinets, tables and chairs. So I'm not interested in getting into that much detail with this. That's why I'm just going to use the massing model, and I'm going to throw in some doors just to, break up the walls a little bit. So, all right, clicking on that massing model. First, head up here, make sure I'm in the corner vertex mode. And basically, I'm just going to trace the outline of this footprint. Now, you can see my cursor is snapping to the corner of this. So this is a cropped PDF, and depending on how you have your snaps set, you're going to snap to funky things sometimes, especially if you import a PDF and then crop it. So I'm either going to need to zoom in. So if I hit Z on my keyboard, I can zoom right to that corner. Whoops. Or I can suspend my snapping. And on my Mac, on the keyboard, it's the second key down on the upper left. It's like a little squiggle. If I hit that squiggle key, I can suspend my snapping and click wherever I want. Hang on, stop. Without the cursor being pulled to one snapping point. So there are some parts of this building that have one story and other parts of the building have two stories. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to be using 4 different massing models. But if you were constructing a building that had all 1 floor or all 2 floors, you would only need to make 1 massing model. So I'll show you how this works with different numbers of stories per segment of the building. And you can see how when you actually go to look at it in 3D, it all kind of melts together. So it's actually pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to start over here. And let's see, massing model. I'm going to click on the outside corner, and like I said, I'm just going to trace around this exterior shell. Darn. Okay, wrong line there, but I'll show you how I can fix that once I close it up. All right, so then I get this preferences box. I'm going to call this the house. And yes, I want to see the roof in plan view. I'm not going to give it a label. The overall height of this section of the building is 10 feet because there's only 1 floor. And I'm going to say I want to see the pitched roof. And I can change all these later in the object info palette. But for now, these are just going to be the default preferences for the massing model that I create in this file. So that's my massing model. Where did I mess up? Over here, and it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'll show you what that looks like. Whoops. So you can see this exterior wall goes out to the actual edge of that PDF rather than to the actual wall. I mean, I could leave it like it is, but I think I'll try to go back and change it. Anyway, this is what that massing model looks like. No windows, no doors, just a big solid mass. So I'll show you how I can move this wall. So if I double click on it, and I'm going to pull it over to say there. Okay, I guessed. That was a pretty good guess. So now the edge of my overhang is actually at the edge of the PDF crop. The other thing I wanted to mention, so if that's highlighted over in the object info palette, I can see my roof overhang is 1 foot. I can change that. I could have changed it when I had that object preferences pop-up window, or I can change it over here. So you can see how that grows as I change the roof overhang. I'm going to keep that at 1. Okay, so that's one mass of this building. So I'll go back and start a new one for this second area that is a 2-story area, and I'll define that later once I get it built. And again, this is really just for visual purposes. So you can be as detailed as you want, or as vague as you need to be depending on your time. Like, shoot, I'm not going to do that bulkhead bump out. That doesn't go 2 stories high, so I'm not going to build it here in the massing model. Close it up. And over in the object info palette, I'm going to call that a 20-foot tall wall height and a two-story pitched roof. Okay. And now to see the difference, that's where I am. All right, so cool. Back to top plan. And so this studio and the garage and this whole area, that's actually all 1 story. It's a little bit taller than the 10-foot building on the front. So I'll define that after I draw it. Oh, darn. I forgot to draw the rest of it. Okay. Anyway. 10 feet. I'm going to call it 12 feet tall. So it's a little bit taller. And I'm going to draw this one separately anyway because I forgot to make that turn. This corner, it looks like this edge is looking a little funky, so I'll close it up and then I'll edit that to be a little cleaner looking. Oh, this one looks crazy too. All right. Oh, what happened there? All right, I'm gonna stick with that. That was 12 feet tall. Okay, so we'll do a flyover. And that's what that's looking like. So if I swing around to the front entry, so you can see what a difference that makes. It gives the trees a backdrop, so I can actually see, whoops, sorry. Oh dear. So I can actually see what the height of those trees does for the, why do I keep clicking that? What the height of these trees actually does for the front of this building. And, I might at this point think, wow, okay, I need some taller trees. Or I might say some of my trees are too tall. Or, whatever thought processes enter as you start to look at this in 3D. One thing I do want to see is where the doors are. So I'm going to go back into top plan. And I'm going to place some doors inside these building walls. So I'm going to head over to the building shell toolkit and hit door. Now, there's lots of doors to choose from. So under doors, I'm going to look at the hinged doors. Oh, all right, I like side lights. I'm going to use some of those. So you would click once and then spin to place it. I'm just going to use the same door on these 2 private entries. As a reminder, so this is the garage, that's a private area, that's the main house, that's a private area. But this center area is the studio where they welcome the public. So I'm going to put a special door there. Let's see what special doors I can find. neat. Okay, unequal, that looks neat. All right. Put that there. And you can also change the width of these doors. Like, I'm not the architect, so I guess I'm just playing around here. But anyway, something you can do. As a landscape designer or a landscape architect, you can say, hey, we need a wider door there. Anyway, flying over, let's see what these doors look like. Cool. Okay, this one didn't totally, all right. This one didn't totally give me the full effect. So if I click on it, I can check over in the object info palette, and here it looks like I need to change how that was input. There we go. All right, so there's some doors, and now I can see, you know, at eye view here, what someone who's entering this property might be looking at, or would be looking at if all was planted to plan. Now, one thing I'm noticing here is I want a tree here. And I'm also thinking I want a tree here. So I'm going to go back into my top plan and just put some more trees into this courtyard. So first I'm going to change my class options to show snap modify others so I can click on my plants again. I'm going to highlight and duplicate that tree, and I'm going to put one there. And then, you know what? I'm going to put that same tree here. So I'm just going to see what the mass of these trees looks like. I might decide to change the species so they're not, you know, I don't have 3 of the same trees here, and maybe I want one that's taller. But I definitely like the mass of those trees in this courtyard. So, and you can see from where she's standing, you know, she's looking at that public entry door. The door, if I can get in there well enough to show you this, the door off to her right is disguised until she gets to a certain point in that walkway, and it's disguised here too. So she really has a pretty, she gets out of her Jeep and she's got a real clear view of where she's headed. And that's pretty comforting when, you know, you're a customer or a guest, and you know you're being invited. You want to know what door you're going to, so use your plantings to guide that way for them. So let's see, what else can I show you here? I'll just point out that there are also garage doors. So if I head over into door, maybe you saw them, overhead doors, and there are also barn doors if you wanted sliders. So let me see, I'll just put a couple barn doors in here so you can see how they work, and I'll want to make sure to put them in the wall part of the massing model and not on the overhang. So let's see how those turn out. Those look okay. I might have the same problem that I did before. I have to change the interior side. There we go. All right, whoa. Yeah, those are good for now. Okay, so that is that. Now I have a massing model, and you could take this steps further by adding windows, which would be super cool if you have time. But basically just having those walls and a roof line and some doors to help your clients see more of what you're trying to create for them. You know, seeing it in 3D and being able to move through this space in 3D is pretty cool. So there is your 3D building massing model. So here's what this landscape looks like without the building massing model. And here's what it looks like with the 3D building massing model. Big difference. Okay, so there you have it. Creating a 3D massing model in Vectorworks Landmark to go along with your 3D landscape is as simple as that. You don't need an architect's building rendering to showcase your landscape against an existing or planned structure. And of course, you can continue to utilize the tools to customize the building as much as you want. So thank you so much for joining me and watching Landscape Elevation. If you haven't caught the other 4 demo videos, I hope you get the chance to. In them, I walk through how I create a fully digital landscape design using Vectorworks Landmark as a tool to modernize traditional hand drafting efforts. And that's all thanks to the Vectorworks ability to create digital presentations and also have super editing capabilities. And yes, I do plan to create more Vectorworks Landmark demonstration videos, but I would love to hear from you. Feel free to let me know what you're struggling with and I'll see if I can help. And remember, I love hearing from folks in the landscape design community anyway. If you're a landscape designer and you have questions or a conversation to start, please share them below or reach out to me directly from my website, landscapeelevation.com, where you can also find my free PDF guides that I've created to help you on your journey, the example client questionnaire, my 5 steps to prepare for a successful landscape design, and now my brand new Vectorworks keyboard shortcuts cheat sheet. All right, thank you, take care, and I hope you have a really, really great week.